Hi, I'm Sheila Long O'Mara, Executive Editor with Furniture Today. Welcome to this edition of Bedding Insights with my friend Jim Nation, VP of National Sales for South Bay International. Hey, Jim.
Hey, thank you for coming in to see us.
Absolutely. So, bedding conference is coming up in a couple of weeks in Orlando.
I've heard that.
You have? I'm glad because you have to be there.
Yes, I will be there.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Furniture Today is honoring you with our Lifetime Achievement Award winning for bedding manufacturing, and we're excited to celebrate 50 years of Jim Nation.
Wow. Well, I appreciate it. It wasn't expected, but I appreciate the recognition.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about. I love your career path and your journey through this industry, starting at retail and then, climbing all the way up where you've been throughout the years. What are some of your most memorable times of working in this industry?
Well, I started as a very young guy. I worked for a department store in Miami, Florida, and I was at first a driver's helper and then a truck driver, and I delivered furniture. And I started to go to college, and I was able to arrange my classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so that I could work Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And I did that for 4 years, and I became a driver, and I had a helper, and I delivered furniture all over South Florida, especially during the condo boom in South Florida, and delivered a lot of mattresses. And one of my recognitions was in the warehouse, occasionally a mattress rep would come in to take care of the returns. And I was always impressed that they drove nice cars, wore nice suits, and looked really good. So that became kind of a goal that I might have. Not that that was my career path. Then after I got out of school, they promoted me into running the marketing room manager, which puts all the price tags on all types of products. Everything from a sweater to socks to a refrigerator.
You move on from the department store, and you've been with a number of significant brands within this industry.
Yes.
That for some reason you like all the companies that start with S's.
Well, I like S's. That's good.
Yeah. So you were with, I'll get it all out of order. You've been with Sealy, you've been with Storied, you were with Spring Air, you're now at South Bay.
So I started with a Spring Air factory in Florida, which was E.B. Malone, which shortly after I started became Bassett Bedding. So I was there 13 years, and at first I was a rep calling on the Levitt stores in Florida. Then I took over Levitt's as a national account. Then they wanted me to keep Levitt's, but we have an underperforming factory in Ohio. So go spend a week, a month there and see if you can turn it around. Well, silly me, turned it around. And then it becomes, well, we'd like you to also do Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Well, silly me had some help and some success in Pottstown. Then how about Amherst, New Hampshire? So basically I become a regional sales manager and I handle national accounts. And along that way I opened up JCPenney for Bassett, which was a big surprise to the industry. Like, how did that happen, Well, and then at Penny's, I did a pretty good job, then in the sense that I did it as much or more business than Sealy. So I got Sealy's attention, and when they needed somebody to run the Sears account, they hired me. I moved to Chicago, and I handled Sears for a couple of years, and then I was involved in Sears going single source with Sealy. And that was at the time when Sealy was being sold. So the revenue increase that Sealy showed at that time was driven by the Sears increase. And I knew that, are you going to stay single source at Sears forever? Probably not. And I got recruited away by Spring Air, who wanted to grow their national account business. And they were doing about $125 million. And over a number of years, I got it up to $400 million. And Spring Air went from this loose confederation of licensees to becoming an actual brand.
With all the advertising and promotions. And,
Yes, and big growth sales-wise.
wow. And how long were you there?
17 years.
You climbed the ranks and you were at Spring Air, and you were CEO at Spring Air for a short period of time?
I first went and I was in charge of national accounts.
Yeah.
Then I became the national sales manager, and the head of marketing for them, and then CEO.
Gotcha. And then there were some changes in Spring Air. And
Yeah, Spring Air,
yeah.
it was a licensee organization, and the majority of them were looking for their way out. So I helped them package a number of factories, and we sold 10 factories in one day.
Oh my goodness.
Now, it took a lot of work and a lot of convincing people that they would have to do things differently. But I will say at Spring Air, whatever I wanted them to do, they supported me.
Nice.
If I could convince them that you needed to do this because it's good for your business, they would do it.
So from Spring Air, where did you springboard to after that?
Then I went to Storied as the president of business development.
And you were there when?
Bob Sherman was the head of NBC, which owned, other than the licensees, 80% basically of the business. And they were doing, roughly $700 million and got up to $1.5 billion. And they had tremendous growth spurt during the iComfort years. And that was equally as exciting as the Spring Air growth.
Wow. So we're almost out of time, but you bounced from Storied to, where was your next stop?
I knew the executives at Sutherland, and I had always been a big supporter of ISPA, and I knew Brian Smith from ISPA, and he and I had a good relationship, and I thought that I could help him, and did. And so I was with Sutherland for 7 years until they recently sold to 3Z Brands. And then I was going to look for a new opportunity, because people who would think, well, is Jim Nation going to retire? The answer is no. He's not.
For like a week, maybe?
Maybe a week or something like that. And Toby and I had met a few years ago, and I liked what I saw with South Bay. And I think that their structure, the manufacturing structure, is the future for the mattress industry. To be vertically integrated, to be able to solve some of retailers' biggest problems. And I think their biggest problem is they have this decline in store traffic. Those retailers cannot support the inventory demands to do that. Yeah, they'll support Tempur and they'll support Sealy and maybe Serta or Simmons, but they can't support the inventory of every place else. So if they're selling any of those second-tier brands, they're looking at 9-10 days before they can get the product to the customer. And with our support and our inventory position, we can deliver either to their store or direct to the customer in 3 days. Either mattresses, adjustable bed bases, pillows, a sheet program. We are a turnkey operation.
That's very cool. So you're looking forward to working with retailers to help them streamline their businesses through that logistics process.
Yep.
In addition to all these brands that you've worked with that you've helped grow throughout the years, you spent a good bit of time working with ISPA, which you just referenced, which is a commitment, right, in addition to your full-time job. How important is that organization, or was that organization to you as you were working your way through your career, but also for the industry as a whole now?
I would say ISPA helped me get to know basically all of my competitors. I mean, I would tell you that I believe I could walk into any showroom at any market and feel welcome.
That whole network, the whole networking aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, we certainly look forward to celebrating with you in a couple of weeks in
Well, good.
Florida.
I look forward to it.
Again, I'm Sheila Long O'Meara with Furniture Today. Thanks for watching.